Hi, welcome to the Career Corner. My name is Heather Swift, and I'm delighted to be your host. The purpose of the Career Corner is to help people move from career distress to career success. Today we'll be talking about accountability, how to plan your goals and manifest your dreams in the work and life and many other areas, with my special guest, Mark Riesenberg. He is the founder and CEO of Human Resources Unlimited. Mark, thanks so much for being here today.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So I'm very intrigued about how you do many different kinds of coaching. Can you dive into what some of the differences are when you're working with different clients?
Yes. Basically, it's three different kinds of clients. One is as a business coach. I help people get very clear on their mission and the goals that will help them achieve that mission, the plans to achieve the goals, their management of time around the plan, and accountability, helping them to do what they said they're going to do, which is what accountability is. Another client is someone who just wants some life coaching. You know, they don't know which way they're going. They're a whirling dervish. They're spinning around, don't know what to do, and I help give them some direction. And then a third client would be someone who combines both, someone who is looking for business advice as well as personal. Maybe they want to be less stressed, or maybe they want to just enjoy their success more. So those are, for me, the three main parts of coaching. There's business coaching, there's life coaching, and then there's the blend, the synthesis of getting that balance of personal, family, and business success.
I'm glad, because they all sound very good to me.
Yes.
So I could see where they definitely bleed into one another very nicely, because all of that makes us whole, not just only being successful in business and the other areas of spirit, lacking in that way.
Yes.
When you first are working with a new client, what are some ways you start helping them look at, maybe the weaknesses in their life? How do you create awareness for them to know where they maybe need to be more accountable, or maybe how to embrace things in a different way?
Right. There are two exercises that I use that really very quickly and easily, and that's one of the things I'm very committed to, is back to the fundamentals, back to the basics, keep it short and simple. So two exercises that help people and myself gain some insight into where I can help them around their weaknesses is, one, they go through a personal mission statement exercise, which is really 5 simple steps. What do you want in your life? What don't you want in your life? What are your values in life? And how can we minimize those obstacles that are standing between what you want and where you want to be? So that it takes them maybe a half hour to do that exercise. It's very enjoyable for the individual because it's light and lively and a lot of fun. And the other exercise is, literally takes 3 minutes. And it's a 3-minute exercise on time wasters. Those things that are interrupting, distracting, taking people off of their plan. Because my whole philosophy is, now that you have goals, a mission, now you need time management. Now you have priorities to manage your time around. And it's a 3-minute exercise where they identify their top 5 time wasters, and then I help them put together a plan to minimize and sometimes even eliminate those time wasters that are standing in their way, holding them back.
Quick question about what qualifies as a time waster. Meal preparation when you have a family. It's a necessary evil. You need to eat, you need to prepare food, but also sometimes waste some time if you're not planning ahead in that, because that drives me crazy, like every day, going, oh, what are we going to eat? What do I, trying to figure all of that.
Right.
So are sometimes time wasters also things you still have to keep, but just maybe manage better?
Yeah, lack of planning is a time waster. For instance, in that 3-minute exercise, it's 2 pages listing 43 different traditional time wasters.
Oh, wow.
And the people pick out those that real world they're challenged with.
What are some top ones you keep saying? What are the top 5 that you, or a lot that you?
Top 5, inability to say no.
Ah, okay.
Where they're taking on other people's priorities and saying, oh my God, what did I get myself involved in? Another is poor delegation, doing everything themselves. Even for an individual, an entrepreneur, solopreneur, they can still delegate. So ineffective delegation, poor listening skills, fatigue. I see that a lot, because fatigue clouds the decision making. And one biggie is lack of written goals and lack of assessing feedback around their progress. So those are the 5 to 6 that I hear over and over.
I
and
believe
over again.
that. I'm a
procrastination,
believer in that
of course.
list. Oh yeah, procrastination. Someday I'll get to it.
Right, exactly.
I bet if you polled how many people in our just even local area are paying for lights and water for the gym membership and not going, that's one for.
Absolutely.
That's an American way,
Definitely.
I think. You know,
Definitely.
it's like a rite of passage.
Right, and that's one of my sayings is been there, haven't done that.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that people know most of what I coach them on, but they're not using it.
Mm-hmm.
They know they should be doing this, want to do this. They might have the desire, but there's just something still holding them back to do what they want to do, and that's where a coach comes in. A coach comes in to help them do what they want to do and what they said they were going to do.
And how do you distinguish between what a coach is versus a therapist? Because I know sometimes people
Right.
get that confused, and there's definite lines difference. Can you explain
There
that a
is.
little bit for us?
And yes, I'm definitely not a therapist, and the difference is that a therapist many times looks at the past. What happened in the past, that's creating the blockage in the present. Whereas a coach will look at the future. They'll look at the current now, what are some things you're doing, and then you put together plans moving forward. So a therapist looks at the past, whereas a coach looks at the present and the future.
That makes sense. How many times of doing the same thing over and over again until it becomes more of a habit and people get set up? Because I can imagine creating this beautiful plan, but we hijack ourselves sometimes from what we know we need to do, and we get in our own way sometimes. So to keep people on track, how long do they have to be on track before it really sticks and they own it and that becomes a new way of life? What is the trend you see with that?
The trend, and it's actually after 10 years of coaching, all of a sudden a light bulb went on, and I found that at the 6-hour point of coaching, after they've gone through 6 hours of coaching, they're starting to see very specific, very measurable, and most important, very meaningful to them results, because what was at first, and I call it the 3 stages of change. Stage 1 is effort and discipline, and stage 2 is habit meaning it's now becoming easier to do than not to do, and then stage 3 is it becomes a way of life. And what I found through my coaching was at that, not around, but at that, by at least that 6th hour of coaching, they're transitioning from that habit to that way of life. Some people are quicker, but I find by that 6th hour, they're developing some new, profound habits and ways of doing things.
So they can themselves also see the difference between after the 6th session versus when they just were getting to know you and start, that there's been a nice process of change.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm so passionate about goal setting and time management, because it is specific and it is measurable. We can see, are you making progress, are you not? If you're not, let's take a look at your plan. If the plan's good but you're not implementing, let's look at why you're not implementing. Yes, they will see, wow, this is the best time and money I've spent in a long time, because I'm seeing some very specific, very measurable results.
Yes, return on investment right away, which is always a very good...
Right. And that's what I tell people. I said, by the 6th hour of coaching, you will see your return on investment of time and money.
And things do take time to turn, and that's where
yes.
even people gain a lot of weight. It's like they're not going to lose it in 2 weeks. They didn't gain 30 pounds in 2 weeks. But we're very hard on ourselves sometimes when we decide to change. We expect it right away, instead of realizing there are baby steps and baby high fives along the way. Hey, look, I'm doing this more than I'm doing that now, and kind of shifting that balance.
Right, I like what you said, baby steps, baby high fives,
Yeah.
and that's what it is. What a coach does, and again, it's a balancing thing. A great coach will know when to have that heart of gold, which is the encouragement, the support, the attaboy, attagirl, and the other thing that needs to be balanced is to have a boot of steel, meaning tough.
Yeah.
And tough meaning not buying into my clients, the person I'm working with, not buying into their excuses, dog ate it or whatever it is. So we don't buy into that so that they do get that progress, do have the results.
Like when people say, oh, I don't have enough time for that. I'm like,
that's classic.
yeah, it so is, because we all have the same 24 hours, and we all know
Yes.
people that get a tremendous amount done and are successful in that same day.
Right.
Versus people that are like, oh, I don't have enough time. And I've actually stopped saying that I don't have enough time. I've had to admit and say, I've chosen not to spend time doing this.
Right.
Whether it's getting to the gym or, writing in a journal, but like I've chosen that is not my priority right now, because I could create time. I could, create that, whether it's for meditation or whatever.
Right.
But it's interesting if you look at what your priorities are, and if how you're living your day is really reflecting those priorities. How do you help people with that?
Right. Well, the thing is an attitude adjustment that there is no such thing as time management, because time is an equal opportunity lender. As you said, everybody gets 24 hours, 160 hours a week. So it's really not time management. What it is priority management.
Okay.
And most people don't have goals. That's that been here, haven't done that, meaning they know the power of goals and they can give me a list of 50 reasons why it's important, but they don't do it. So once you're clear on your goals and your mission, the priorities for the day, for the week, for the months do start to become more and more crystal clear. And what ultimately time management is it's self-management, managing yourself, managing how you use those 24 hours. And one of my big principles is don't think it, ink it. Write it down. Get it all, and I mean all, out of your
Did
head.
you create that phrase? Don't think it, ink it?
No.
Oh, I was going to say, that's a good one.
I could've
I would
said
run and
yes, but-
copyright that right away. Yeah, but that's a good
No.
one to share.
No. What I did copyright, though, is Stop Whining and Start Winning. It's a
Okay.
book that I wrote. And the whining is the complaining, the criticizing, the blaming, the gossiping. And I found that one of the solutions to whining is writing down your goals. As I learned in 3rd grade and heard again in 8th grade, okay, class, we're going to commit it to writing, because that's what it's all about. Commit it to writing. Get it down on paper, so that, because what gets written gets remembered and gets done. If you don't write it down, a million other things are going to come in your mind you're going to forget.
Yeah, we have so much going on that it's
Yes.
very easy to have one thing, oh, this is important, and then something else gets bumped on the list, and then those
Right.
other priorities are all of a sudden, psh,
Exactly.
in the back of the bus, and we're
So
not
I'm real
pulling
big
out.
on goals need to be written and visible, because again, out of sight is out of mind.
We
These
got
are
those.
principles that people know about, but they don't apply in their life. So I take these very simple things, and with some very, very sophisticated business people, I get them back to the basics, back
That's
to the
great.
fundamentals, all the things that got them to success that they stopped doing. So it's a very easy job I have.
Oh, it sounds like a good one. We have to take a quick break, and then we'll be back in a few moments. So stay tuned. We'll be back with Mark Riesenberg very shortly after this quick announcement.
Local government, local educational institutions, and local community members all use cable access TV to communicate their message. They depend upon it as an affordable means of outreach. Public educational and government access television empowers local government agencies, individuals, and groups to use the media to speak directly to their constituents in a more direct and cost-effective way. Make sure everyone has a voice. Support your local PEG channels.
Hi, welcome back to the Career Corner. I'm here with Mark Riesenberg, and we're talking about New Year's goals and resolutions as we begin 2014. So, Mark, how do you help clients with new goals for the new year? This is a great topic as we're launching into a brand new year. Clean slate, new opportunity. What are some things you could share with our audience today that would be mindful, and some good tips as we launch into this new space?
It's smart to write down your goals.
Hey!
Very smart.
I think we're getting that, yeah.
All of the research shows that people who write down their goals achieve more than those who don't write down their goals. And I'm going to use SMART 2 ways. One, to drive home the message that this is something to do. And SMART is the acronym for how to write goals. Get goals that are very specific, very measurable, very attainable, relevant to your happiness, and trackable with a time frame. So it's smart to write down the goals. And where do you start? Where you start is, and by the way, I don't care if it's low tech, meaning a piece of paper and a chewed up pencil, or latest greatest software off the shelf. It doesn't matter. But you need to commit to one thing or another. And so start with a blank piece of paper or a blank Word document, and just start. Don't worry about getting it perfect. Just your first draft, if you will, of personal goals, things just for yourself. Be it gym, be it weight loss, be it an addiction you want to stop, family goals, maybe vacations, maybe spending time with family members more and extended family, as well as business, career goals. So just brainstorm at first. Go for quantity. Just write down everything that's in your heart, in your mind, get it on paper, and then look through those, and then go for quality. Those that really sing to you, really whisper to you that, yes, this is something I really want.
When you have someone who's saying, I want to lose 10 pounds, but then they're not doing anything to back that up. They're not making good food choices, they're not getting out exercising, they're not doing anything to support that goal, say, for this one. This is a common one, especially with women. Oh, I got to lose that 10 pounds. Like how, obviously it's not a priority goal, so, but yet, are there some things that people feel like, oh, it's on my have-to list, but yet there's no energy and really no priority to make it happen, but it keeps sticking on the list? And do you have that, like, honest meeting with them to say, if this is here and there's no action taken behind it, maybe it should just get off the list and just deal with it? Or how do you determine, like, what should stay on it if there's no action or impetus to really make that change?
Right. That's why we start with mission. What's your mission? Because when your goals are aligned with your mission, your purpose, your vision of who you are and who you want to be, it may put some more juice behind that goal, more commitment to it. But once you have that goal, then you've got to put together a plan. You can't do a goal. You can do a plan. Lose 10 pounds needs to have a plan. So you put the plan together. We identify the time wasters, and then that's where the accountability comes in. People, it's like the at the gym 7 a.m. You're paying the trainer, so you're going to be there. It's the same thing with a coach. You've made a commitment, and you know that I'm going to be showing up next Tuesday at 3:30 or whatever it is, and it does inspire people to do it. Now, the other part of your question. Is that I tell people that if you don't meet the deadline of your commitments, but it's still an important goal, then we'll just move up the time frame, but we'll only do that twice. The second time, I'm not going to coach you on it anymore. So, you put a little more. Again, that's the not buying into their excuses. That's being tough.
Yeah, the tough love.
Tough love.
The boot. Yeah.
Exactly. and I find my experience in my 25 plus years of coaching is 95% of people will keep their commitments. And we don't have to take too many goals off the list.
You don't put too many clients in the timeout corner when you're coaching them.
No, maybe one or two out of 100.
Could you share some of your success stories with people in business that you've worked with that have come to you either as an entrepreneur or someone who's part of a company but just wanting to get more out of their current career?
Yes, about 100 people just went through my mind. One in particular.
We don't have that much time. But
one in particular, I'm thinking two. One in particular is a gentleman, after I gave a keynote at his company, he came up to me, handed me his card, and he said, I'm Stan, I'm 70 years old, and you're my coach. And this was a fellow who was very, very successful, had been in that industry 40 years, and so I started coaching him, and we're now in our 11th year. He's now 81 years old, and last year, or this year, 2013, was his most successful financial year ever. And he attributes a lot of that to the coaching in that he said, Mark, I use you 100% for accountability. Knowing that you're coming in a month, we're getting together and reviewing my goals, it inspires and motivates me to do what I said I'm going to do. So he's a great joy to work with and a great success story. Another one, an entrepreneur brought me in because She was very, very successful by all the standards of our society, financially and family-wise, but she wasn't enjoying her success. That was her mission in bringing me in as her coach, was to not only be successful, but to enjoy her success. She wasn't. So we, as we said before, I'm not a therapist, so we, as a coach, we made it our mission, and we set up some specific measurables. What will it look like when you're enjoying your success? And we were able to put them together, and that was about 1.5 years ago. And I would say within a half year, she was enjoying her success, and now it's a way of life. It's something we don't even talk about anymore. It's there. I see it every time I coach her, that not only is she successful and being more and more successful over the last 3 years now, enjoying her success is a gimme. It's just who she is now.
She's made that shift.
So I love that, that not only can I improve individuals' success as they define it, but I make sure that they enjoy it as well.
How often do you recommend people look at their goals that they've written down or have on their device? Like, is it a morning thing, or before bed thing? Or?
That's a good question. Everybody's a little different. I look at my goals maybe 3 times a week. Some people do look at it every day. So it's whatever works for you. Some people it's maybe once or twice a week. My only parameter is it needs to be visible, so that when you want to look at it, it's there. For instance, just yesterday I was coaching a fella. This is our 3rd coaching session now, and he wasn't keeping his goals visible. And when he saw the results weren't as stellar as he knows they can be, he said, "It's because I'm not keeping my goals visible."
Oh, interesting.
But that was a self-motivated thing, and
he owned it, though.
Yeah, now it was painful for him because he wants these goals really badly, and out of sight was out of mind. He just forgot that he had made that commitment. Actually, it was our 2nd coaching session.
How many goals do you recommend people work at one time? Because
good question.
And I can see maybe you have like a personal goal, a career goal, a spirit goal. So maybe you can kind of combine them that way. But if you do too many, then you can also kind of scatter your energy. How would you
That's one of the
that?
time wasters, is too many goals.
Okay.
Yes, attempting too much.
Okay.
What I've found is, in terms of personal goals, typically it's 1 to 3 personal goals. Again, something just for yourself. 1 to 3 family goals. And business goals, I find it's usually anywhere from 3 to 8 business goals. Just, from the 27 years of coaching people, that's what I've noticed the range is. And that's not too much.
So it's doable, because they're in different buckets in that way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but it's not force-fed. For some people, it's 1 personal, 1 family, and 3 business goals. For others, it's more. But I'm very attuned to when they overwhelm. And by the way, that's the #1 word that I hear as I travel around the world. It's not even a close second. It's
I'm overwhelmed.
I'm overwhelmed.
Do you think, so you've been coaching for many years now, so you've been coaching before the internet, you've been coaching after the internet,
Yes.
before Apple became more than a
Yes.
fruit. How do you think that has helped and hurt our society as far as the overwhelm, and I think it can work for us and also against us?
Right. It's I find that with technology, people don't know how to unplug. In fact, that's a bit of a movement that's going on in Silicon Valley right now. There was an article in November's New York Times about how Silicon Valley, through Google's initiative, they're learning how to unplug.
Isn't that funny?
So that when they replug, they're clear, and they're talking about mindfulness and being aware of your breathing and learning transcendental meditation, TM, so that when they unplug and when they go back to plugging, because that's one thing I learned about meditation, it is preparation for activity. That profound rest and release of stress that you experience from meditation prepares you for more dynamic, fulfilling activity. So technology, it's awesome tool, of course, but it's how you use the tool. And for some people, they don't know how to unplug, and that's a bad thing, because my personal opinion is all of creation is around two simple principles: rest and activity. The more profound the rest, the more profound the activity. The more profound the activity, the more profound the rest. What has happened in our society, we've gotten good on the activity side, but very poor on knowing how to how to calm down, how to release stress, and enjoy life.
And be present to the moment.
Yes.
is what is
Exactly.
lacking. So we only have a minute left. I can't believe there's so much more we could be talking about. How can people get a hold of you? We'll have your website right here somewhere.
Right,
What would you like to say for our last
Right,
minute?
www, of course, .hru, which is Human Resources Unlimited, hrugoals.com. And my email address is mark, M-A-R-K, @hrugoals.com.
Okay.
Just do that, and I'll be there for you.
So any last tip as we enter into a new year?
The tip is, now that you have goals, you need time management. So write down those goals. Don't think it, ink it. Get it all out of your head. And you're going to find by doing that, that the stress, the overwhelm will definitely
You can manage
reduce.
it.
Yes.
That's great. Thank you so much for being with us today.
And thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
And thank you all for joining us on the Career Corner. Check us out on YouTube. We have a lot of other great videos and interviews. And until we meet again, I wish you much career success.